Hi there folks, and welcome back to Getting Started with Laravel 4. In the previous video we created a view file using the blade syntax. Now in this lesson we'll use blade again, but to create reusable templates containing content sections and partials. Now this will clean up your view files big time. Now before we get started, let's create one more view file. I'll just dive into the user folder and copy this file here. Now this one will be for a single user, so I'll just call this show.blade.php. Now as you can see, when I open them up, both views have the same amount of HTML code in them. Now whenever you find this kind of code duplication happening, you should be aware that that's what's called a code smell. Your code can most probably be improved, and in this case quite a lot. But never mind, let's just finish this up first and we'll improve on this later. Okay, I'll just open up our user controller because we do need a user to work with. And just to be very quick about it, I'll copy this code and place it in our show method. And here let's just say that this is our user, like so. User @tuts plus my secret password. And we'll just compact this single user to the view and make sure we call the show view. And now we'll do some cleaning up inside of that view as well. We can get rid of the for each statement as we only have a single user anyway. So yeah, that's about it. Now let's visit that route. And sure enough, there's our email address right there. Okay, now let's address this duplicate code. So we have all this code here, which is duplicate, and we have some at the bottom as well. Now, wouldn't it be great if we could use some sort of a default layout file that we can put all this code in? Well, actually we can. First of all, I'll create a folder and that will hold our layout files. We'll just call that layouts, and then inside of that folder I'll create a new file which will be our default layout. So we'll call that default.blade.php. Now I'm going to take all of this HTML here and cut it and paste it inside of default.blade.php. And I'll do the same for the end tags here. Alright, so that goes in our default layout as well. And now this code is also going to replace all of this HTML, so we can easily get rid of this as well. So now we have our layout file, but we need a place to actually display our content. And we'll use Blade's yield statement for that. And that will yield way for a section called content. Just like so, and that's how easy it is. But now we need a way to display the content which is in these two files inside here. Let's open up show.blade.php first. Now this has actually become some sort of a partial view. And all I have to do is tell Blade to extend that layout file. And this is the way to do that. Here tell Blade, okay, this file extends the default layout. And don't forget that's in the layouts folder. Okay, so now Blade knows that we are using the default layout. And now there's just one thing left to do. I want to display this section right over here. And the way I do that is I define a content section. So section, and the identifier for that section is content. And when I'm done defining that content section, I can just do stop. So the content section starts here and it stops there. And let's do the same in index.blade.php. Let's extend layouts.default. And define a content section here, and then finally we'll do stop. Maybe indent this code just a little bit for good measure. And let's view the result in the browser. Well, when I reload the page, I'm getting an error, and I actually did this on purpose, just to show you what Laravel does behind the scenes. You remember that yield statement? Well, behind the scenes, that's actually translated into this: PHP echo environment, yield content, and then content. And as you can see, we forgot an apostrophe there. Well, that's easily fixed. We'll just go back to default.blade.php and add that right there. And now when we reload the page, there's our view, but have a look at the source. This here is the top of our layout file, that's the bottom, and this is where we yielded the content section. Similarly, if we look at the source code for user, we see the same happening. Top, bottom, content section, right there. But like always, there's more. We can define sections in the layout file as well. And then later on we can add to those sections in our views. Let's start a section and we'll give it a name of sidebar. Inside of that section I'll just write an h2 tag with some title, maybe links. And now I don't want to stop this section, but I want to actually show this section. So I'll use show here. Now when we go to the browser, it does what we expect it to do. It just adds that section right here underneath the content. But now what's great is that we can add to this sidebar section in our partial views. We'll take the show view as an example, just copy this like so, and then the name of that section will be sidebar, and then we'll maybe just display a link, and you know what, let's just make that a couple of links. And now look what happens inside of our browser. Well, the content of that sidebar section is replaced, but now watch what I can do. If I return to the show view, I can just do something like parent here. And that will display the content of the parent section, followed by anything that we want to add right here. You see? Now, because I can show that parent virtually anywhere, I've got a lot of flexibility over my views. Okay, so that's sections, but we've also got partials to cover. Let's just clean this up. Right back to where it was. And let's create a partial. Let's say we have some sort of menu view. Well, these partials need to live in a folder for as far as I'm concerned. So I'll just create a directory here, call that partials. And inside I'll create a view file to hold our menu. So we'll call that menu.blade.php. Now we're not going to be bothered with styling or anything. I'll just paste in some UL and that's it. So yeah, here's a very basic menu. Okay, so now that we've got this partial created, let's find a way to include it in our layout. Well, the keyword there is include, and that's one of the things that I really like about Laravel. The syntax is just so readable. All you need to do here is create space for another line of code and just do include, and then make sure you go to the partials folder and select the menu partial. And that's all there is to it. One final check in the browser. Yep, that looks great to me. Again, very elegant and readable syntax here. Well, that concludes our lesson on Blade. By now we have reviewed routing, controllers and views, so we've covered most blocks you need to build a proper application. There's just one thing left, and that's interacting with the database. Now I'll guarantee you'll find that Laravel has some very cool features in store in that field. In the next lesson, we'll start working with the database. I'll see you there.